All right, we're back in the Press Box Podcast for a new episode. This is episode number 48, and today we're going to be talking about the restart sports, specifically baseball and basketball, the NBA. Both suspended their seasons in mid-March. Baseball taking a step back from spring training, and the NBA with about a month left to play in the regular season. You've got basketball starting again here in Orlando in a couple of days, and baseball. New opening day is going to start in late July, so we'll touch on both of those. And then we'll talk a little bit about the PGA Tour as well, which has been restarted now for about a month with no fans. So we look forward to getting into some of that. Before we start the episode, though, we encourage you, as always, to check us out on Twitter at PressBoxPod. Give us some thoughts, on these restarts, what you think, what you're looking forward to about the MLB and NBA. And, we look forward to get into it here on this episode of the PressBox Podcast.
Okay, we're back on the Press Box Podcast. This is episode 48 if you're counting at home, and we're excited to come back and talk to you about all the wonderful things that are going on in the world of sports right now, or the lack of sports right now. As everybody probably knows, with the coronavirus scare, most sports shut down, at least the ones that were scheduled to start or had already started in March. Football we'll discuss on the next podcast, but today we want to talk a little bit about what we're going to call the restart sports, such as the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the PGA Tour. So I want to welcome my co-host in, Joseph Miranda. And Joseph, what are your initial thoughts on everything that's been going on?
Well, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I don't think we've talked about this whole ordeal since it happened. We were talking about our baseball and football brackets, but the initial take is this: like, as far as the NBA goes, I don't think they ever should have restarted. Personally, I think that when they suspended their season on around March 10th, right, they had about a month left of games for the playoffs. I think they had about a month to 2 month window to where they could restart and basically just go straight to the playoffs, because I think the seeds were pretty much set. I think you had, in the West, the ninth seed was about 3 games behind the 8th seed, so you could pretty much have your playoffs.
Right.
But at this point, it's pointless, in my opinion, because, you've taken what now? You've taken a little over 4 months off. You're going to go down in Orlando in the bubble, as they call it, and you invite, they invite 22 teams or something like that? I think
something like that, yeah. So 22 teams would mean that they've invited at least 2 or 3 in each conference that were already outside the playoffs.
So those teams may end up playing 4 or 5 games and not making the playoffs.
Right.
I think they're going to have regular playoffs. But So then, I don't have the schedule right in front of me, but they're going to play, like I said, pretty much a full playoff. So they're looking at ending the season on end of September-ish?
That sounds about right.
Maybe mid to late September. Okay. Right. And then they're going to, even if it's early September, I don't know exactly. Then they're going to have free agency October 1st-ish. Right. Draft around that time. I think they're going to try to restart next season in December or something like that. Well, now you've just compressed the whole calendar where you're affecting next season. That's what I've always maintained is,
take your lumps down.
Yeah, take your lumps down. Don't let it affect next season. I mean, you can, as bad as it sounds, baseball did it in 94. It didn't have a World Series. You don't have to have the championship this year. It's extreme circumstances. You played most of this season. Have your awards, give out your awards, MVP, whatever, and just call it the season. And then start in October like you normally would next season and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a good idea, especially when you're talking about basketball and hockey, which we're not going to discuss today. But but those leagues had completed 90% of their season, okay? Yeah. So either come back and just have a playoff, right? Take the teams that were seeded, have your playoff and get it over with and finish it, and then start the next season at the normal time, okay? either do that or, like you said, just call it a wash. I mean, let it end right there. But obviously, the main impetus behind this is money, right? I mean, they want money. They want the TV contract to go on. They want to sell advertisements into these games. And, as we've also found out, the NBA wants to make sure that the social platform that they've become continues so that they can, they've already said the players can wear certain approved phrases on the back of their jerseys or on the front of their jerseys or whatever it is. So they want the platform to be able to do that as well. So that's what they're doing. But I really don't see how they're going to garner the support or the interest that they would have had in a regular type of a season, because when you start looking at August and September, you're gonna start looking at baseball. Supposedly is going to be playing. Football will be playing. You're going to have major golf championships at that time. I mean, the attention's going to be fractured somewhat.
Yeah, it looks like, I think you said this, Joseph, but it looks like the seeding games begin July 30th. Yeah. Last day of the NBA Finals is October 13th.
That's later than I thought.
That's later than you thought.
Say anything about next season restart?
The NBA, this is all the key dates here. NBA Draft October 16th.
Yeah.
No, it ends with free agency beginning. It doesn't go into next year. Yeah, let me see if it mentions at the top of the article. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Okay, but you just said it right there. You've got the finals, which is their key event. Showcase thing is going up against the NFL.
Exactly.
Supposedly. That'll be next. We'll get into that next episode. And ostensibly college football.
Ostensibly, yes.
Some sort of college football. So, and the World Series or the playoffs, baseball playoffs are in October. So that's. I don't like it. I mean, obviously, I guess you can't argue with them trying to make as much money as they can. They are a business, but it just doesn't. It just seems like a mess. I don't know.
It is. I think it is a mess.
And then you hear all this stuff about what they're calling the bubble, about players can't leave the hotel, and
I was going to say, what's the bubble? Does that just?
It's just the term they're using for,
like, the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, like they're staying at the Disney World hotels. They have 3 of the hotels that they're staying at, and it's like basically have to stay in the hotel, and they get on a little bus to the practice facility or game facility and get right back on the bus, go right back to the hotel. They can't go anywhere else.
I think the concept is that
they're keeping them in.
They tested everybody coming in, coaches, players, trainers, everybody, and all those people are going to be together the whole time and inside this bubble where they can't leave and interact. So the thinking is that if they do that and they've all tested negative, they should not.
No one should get sick.
No one should get sick. Right. That's the idea.
Look, Joseph. Next season, according to Wikipedia, is set to start December 1st. It's going to go to April of 20.
Yeah, so they're going to play. How many games are they going to play? Does it say?
It says.
So they can probably still play close to 82 games. Because they take way too much time off, especially from October to December.
They're going to intend. They intend. It says the league still intends to hold a full 82-game regular season.
Yeah, see.
Oh, that's in 2021. That would be
right.
With a condensed schedules, so the finals are played as it normally does in June. How's that going to work? They're going to play more games in tighter
window. They're not going to take as many nights off, right?
Yeah. Which is going to allow the players to participate in the Tokyo Olympics. They don't want the NBA. I don't think they want the finals to go too far.
I got you. I forgot about the Olympics. Yeah.
Okay. Well. I mean, if they can do it, I guess. But if you get to the finals, you get like 45 days off, and you have opening night of the next season. I mean,
that's how it always is.
Or you mean like this year?
This year.
Oh, this year. Oh,
October 13th is when it starts. The finals.
No,
it ends. The last if it goes 7 games, I guess.
Yeah. So
let me find that. Okay, here
basically
we go.
45 days is right.
October, NBA Finals target date, I guess, to begin is September 30th, and and the last day is going to be October 13th.
If it goes 7 games.
I mean,
then the draft's on October 16th.
Well, I like the fact that they're going to try to play 82 next year, but it's just...
That raises the question, though. If they do it, it's pretty easy. Why don't they start every year December 1st?
Well, they won't do that because you're going to have... I mean, if Kawhi Leonard can't play back-to-back now, what's he going to do next year when they play, like, back-to-back-to-back-to-back? I mean,
I think...
it's a joke.
Yeah.
The NBA's a joke. I'm sorry. I said it. There it is. It's out. The NBA's a joke.
I saw a picture of the. Well, I would agree with you. I think it is now, but a lot of people disagree with you.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
What was
looking
I going to say? I saw a picture of. I guess it was real. I don't know. It was on ESPN when I was looking up articles of I guess where they're going to play at. I always assumed they were playing in like actual Disney's Wide World of Sports has arenas, right? They have an arena. This picture. I don't know if this might be their practice facility. I saw a picture that looked like it was like a what do you call those meeting rooms? Those convention rooms, and they had courts set up beside the.
That's where they're practicing. So
oh, okay.
As far as I know,
they had like carpeted convention rooms with courts on top of
them. Yeah, it's definitely the practicing there because I've seen photos. But as far as games, I don't know how many game courts Disney has, but yeah.
I love how they have the team-specific courts still too. Like
they're probably just going to play all day. I mean, you have a game, little break, next team's come in.
Yeah, that's
what they have to do, I guess. You know, but
like a summer camp.
Which
I mean, there's a game going on throughout the day, but no team's going to play twice.
Right, I think,
So they're trying to pick up the schedule just like they left it off, not miss any games. Playing out the rest of the season.
Well, that can't be because they didn't invite all the teams. Yeah. So in other words, you have to.
They're not starting with the playoffs, are they?
No, they're having. What'd you call it? Seeding games. So in other words, are they going to pick it up with 1 through 8 seeds or 1 through 10 seeds or I guess it's 1 through 11, right? They invited 22 teams. Yeah, so 1 through 11 in each conference.
Yeah,
will start their games.
Oh, and a couple of teams will have to go home.
Yeah. In other words, you're still only going to have 8 teams from each conference, but they invited the next three.
Teams.
Right. So now they're going to not reseed. They're going to develop a schedule for the remaining games among those teams.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on record. Neither the NBA nor the MLB will play a single game this calendar year.
I find that unlikely.
I think they will.
All right, so
just press that off like it's
I think that's fine. That's your opinion, but I'm more inclined to believe that they will start to play games and they won't finish.
Well,
that's possible.
Let me just say that if they had odds for that, I think it would be a good bet because they're going to be far odds probably because they've already announced that they start practicing. But I think it's a good chance
at this point they're going to start. I feel like
they'll probably
start. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, so let's use that to transition into baseball now. So,
baseball,
you could start. Take the start.
Yeah, I mean, baseball is probably my second favorite sport behind football, but the way they're handling it is even more of a joke than the NBA. And
really?
I shouldn't say it that way. That's not the right way to say it. The way they're handling it is not a joke, but this restart of baseball is a lot more cumbersome and difficult than it is for basketball, okay? Because the play is going to be so bad, and you and I talked a little bit about this. I mean, you don't have a regular spring training. You started spring training, you quit spring training. Now you're having practices, like inter-squad games. I mean, the pitchers are going to be rusty. The hitters are going to be rusty. There could be injuries because guys didn't stretch out enough or whatever their arms. I just don't see it being quality baseball for 60 games. And the second thing is it's going to be a sprint to the finish where you're not going to have a true champion in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit. The Nationals can basically have 2 years to celebrate their World Series because whoever wins this season, it's not going to be looked upon as a real champion. The Nationals are still kind of the real champions.
Yeah.
So they have a long time
the only group of people that enjoy this whole thing with baseball is the Houston Astros.
Yeah, they like that big time.
So, if I had a lot of Twitter followers, I'd start a campaign to remember the Astros. Remember the Alamo, remember the Astros. Yeah. Remember what they did.
Yeah. They came out of this thing smelling like a rose.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm glad they're trying to play, but I just and now let's also say they brought this on themselves. They should have started a whole lot earlier, but they couldn't come to the players and the owners or the players and the commissioner. They were bickering back and forth, and proposal. One made a proposal, the other one nixed it. They could be playing. They could have had an 80-game season or maybe even a 90-game season, but they didn't do that. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. They could have, but the players wanted to get paid for the games they were going to be played, which I don't blame them.
Right, I don't blame them for that.
So, but then the owners, to make that happen, want to play as few games as possible because they didn't want to pay. You know what I mean? So that's how they settled on the 60, I guess. But yeah, first thing is is the actual little restart. So you've got teams at their home stadiums basically practicing for three weeks.
3
or so.
weeks, right?
They started that already?
Yeah, they've been doing it for.
Since
I feel like they've been doing it longer than 3 weeks now. Have they not?
No, they started July 1st.
Ish. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen some videos. It's just weird. Like, it's not like you said, the bad baseball. Like, it's not. I don't know what word I'm looking for. They're not getting their same quality reps as they would in spring training. They're facing live pitching, but they're not really facing live pitching. Like, the
Yankees are.
Yeah, that's true. The Yankees
no
are.
L screen.
The Yankees are.
We see a lot of teams with, they call it live BP, where they put an L screen out there, the pitcher will throw it from the mound, and you've got the pitcher go standing behind him and all that. And I'm sure they're playing some actual inter squads, but you're seeing the same 2 and 3 pitchers over. Not 2 and 3. You're seeing the same type of pitchers over and over again. It's just, I don't like it. Something doesn't sit well with me. I'm not saying there's a better option out there, but it's just
if they play an inter-squad scrimmage, how are they not really facing live pitching? What's the difference?
No, they are. I mean, I was talking more about the live BP.
About the live BP.
You can only play so many inter-squad games against the same people. I mean,
right. Well, here's another thing: how are they going to handle statistics? Should this be even counted?
because it's got to count your career total. I mean, if first of all,
but here's the thing: what if a guy has 400 this season?
First of all, I don't think that's going to happen still.
Right.
But
well,
if he does, then everybody knows why it happened. I mean,
but should there be an asterisk by it? In other words, I guess what I'm saying: if somebody breaks a record, should there be an asterisk by it?
No, but at the same time, it's like
people know.
People know. It's like, oh, so-and-so hit 400 in 2020. Well, they only played 60 games. It's obvious.
I always bring back there's no asterisk next to the Astros World Series champs, but everybody knows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I still don't think it's going to happen.
60 games is what, about 240 at-bats?
Well, you got to figure, during a regular season, how many times has a guy gone into June hitting 400? It doesn't really happen.
Not much, but it could.
I don't think it's going to happen. But
it probably won't. I'm just saying, I just throw that out there, how you can handle it.
Who do you think comes off better this season, the hitters or the pitchers?
That's a good question.
That's an excellent question.
Yeah. I think
the hitters come off better.
Yeah. I think in a typical spring training, when the hitters show up, they only need about two and a half weeks, and they can play. Pitchers need more because they're
weak.
Yeah, they just need more, and they need to face more batters. They need time for to get the feel for their pitches and all this and that.
Well,
I think they're just going to hit.
And here's another question about it. How are they going to handle the minor leagues? For example, there's not going to be any minor league baseball this year. So are these guys? I assume that they've expanded the rosters, right? In other words, you're not only going to be held to 25 guys. Is that right? Maybe 40 guys coming in?
They were started at 40 roster.
No, well, there's a 40 man, but I think I don't know exactly, okay? But I know that a lot of teams.
I can look it up.
A lot of teams have their 25-man roster, right? And then either in the same city, team city, they have another camp going on that's going to last throughout the duration of the season. That's their prospect camp, or guys in the 40-man and guys that have a chance to get called up. Okay. Their top minor league prospects are going to be constantly practicing or playing inter-squad games in case they're needed. You know what I mean? Right. So it's another 35, 40 guys right there. Not that they'll need all of them, but just like.
But you got to have some.
Yeah, I know, right? Because in a typical minor league season, you have guys go up and down. So that's what's going to happen there.
Okay. It makes sense. That makes sense.
You looking up the?
I'm trying to look up. Here's everything you need to know about the restart, but so far I haven't come across the question we were talking about.
Well, go ahead.
So then basically when they start July 24th baseball, they're going to play 60 games, but then the season's going to end at the same time it would normally end. Okay.
And the playoffs are going to be normal playoffs, which, we talked about the fact that it's not going to be a rightful champion, but anybody can get hot for 60 games.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got. I don't know. The Marlins could start 5-4, and then get hot and go 30-14 and make the playoffs. Whereas in a 162 game season, the same thing happens that puts them at June 1st, and they fizzle out down the stretch. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, and the reverse could also be true. Let's say let's say a team like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers start out 2-8.
Right.
They're not going to have enough time to pick it up, maybe.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it could work both ways this year. And you could have the World Series could be a strange World Series between some teams that ordinarily you would have never guessed would have been in the World Series.
Yeah.
So
this sounds. I haven't found exactly. It talks about like this may answer the question in a roundabout kind of way. This article is like asking questions and then answering them for you. On July 1st, I'm assuming nothing's changed.
I don't think so.
But it says any prospects from the 60-man rosters who could potentially or who could actually make a difference.
Okay, well then
I guess that,
so you've
that
got
answer your question?
probably you've got your 40-man roster, which you always have, and they probably allowed them to place 20 more guys or so that aren't normally on the 40-man that are eligible to be be called up. You know what I mean?
Okay, it's talking about guys who could close to the majors who could potentially make a difference.
So. Yeah.
Another interesting thing, it says the standard injured list will be 10 and 45 days, and there will be a separate COVID-19 injured list for players who test positive, have a confirmed exposure to COVID-19, or exhibit symptoms requiring self-isolation. So there's going to be a different IR for COVID-19?
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess it's going to be,
Yeah.
And I guess I'm assuming that there's no set number of days for that. Once you find it, once you no longer test positive, you can start playing.
14 days.
14 days, yeah.
Well, it says there's going to be. Oh, that's the COVID-19 thing. That's what they're going to go by.
Yeah, I would think you'd have to go by that. Quarantine them for 14 days.
And then
the schedule will be regionally based, with teams playing 40 games within the division and 20 interleague games against the corresponding geographical division.
Yeah.
So the Yankees won't be playing the Twins.
No.
Anymore.
The Yankees will be playing 20 games between the NL
Definitely
East.
not like the Mariners and the A's and those teams.
They won't play the Twins either.
Okay.
According to what he just said, they're going to play 40 divisional games.
Right.
And 20 games against the team in the corresponding...
Okay, but...
So it says the interleague game.
Okay, but I don't have the schedule in front of me, but the Marlins are in the NL East.
Right, they could play the Marlins.
All right, that's in Miami. That's not closer than Minnesota.
That's a good point. No, that's the next...
This goes back to that whole college football thing. About
that's a good point, Joseph.
Just because you're in the same division or interleague division doesn't mean you're close.
Yeah, that's an
so they may not be playing the Marlins. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't have the schedule. But so the last thing I want to touch on here with both basketball and baseball is the fact of the no fans thing. Okay.
Right.
I think it affects baseball more than basketball. I think basketball is maybe the top sport where having no fans won't affect it because constant action going on. You run up and down the court. You got. I mean, think of just your standard pickup games. Like NBA players play pickup games during the summer. It's still going to be competitive. They're right in each other's faces all the time. You know what I mean? It's on television, so they know that people are going to see them or whatever.
That's a big thing.
Yeah,
they know people are watching.
Right. In baseball, you got a huge stadium that's going to be empty.
Right.
You say you're an outfielder, standing there in the outfield, nothing's going on. It's 2:00 in the afternoon, a day game. It's like it's going to be a better version of like an extended spring training where you're out there in the heat playing with nobody watching. Now those games will be on TV too, but I think just the emptiness will be felt more in baseball, which could lead to some lackluster play for some players that maybe aren't as mentally drifting a little more.
Think there'll be pumping in music to the NBA games like they typically do. Play music while they're running down the court.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Here's the Yankee schedule. Everybody's interested.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you want me to? How do you want me to go?
Just some away games, some teams.
Some of the away games.
Okay.
Some teams.
Well, the away games. Okay, I got you.
Why don't they?
Yeah. Washington, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, the Mets, Atlanta, Toronto, Boston.
Okay, so 3 of the NL East teams, Atlanta being the furthest away.
Yeah, so that's what they did. They took the regionally closest teams from the opposite division.
From the NL East.
Yeah. So like Joseph said, Miami wouldn't play them because Miami...
It's like Tampa Bay, though. I mean, that's not...
Well, that's in their division.
You can't do anything about that,
Yeah, but if you're really concerned about geographical location, you could do something about it.
You're right.
Like, why couldn't they... If they're really concerned about geographical location, don't play the Rays, even though they're the same... Devil Rays, even though they're the same division. I still call them the Devil Rays. But they could play the... I'm gonna say something stupid, but they could play the...
White Sox?
The Pirates.
Yeah, they could. Pirates are close.
Right?
Or the Phillies, which they are playing the Phillies.
If they really cared about geographical location.
That's a good point, Nathan. I mean, you could make a schedule with purely divisional and non-divisional, but purely geographic.
Did they ever float out in the idea of trying to, since there's only 60 games, trying to do something like they used to, just having an NL champion, AL champion, just have a World Series?
No, because they still want to do their whole little playoffs.
They want their money. Remember, money's involved, okay? But I agree with Joseph on the fan thing. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays itself out because, The NBA, it shouldn't affect them a tremendous amount, but you're right about baseball. I mean, it's going to be weird,
Yeah.
you know, these guys playing in a huge stadium with no fans.
I think that's part of it too. This huge stadium that's empty. NBA thing, they're probably won't be that big when they're playing. That.
Right,
No, it's
right.
not gonna be a full size
It's not
arena.
gonna be NBA.
Yeah, that's because they're playing in Disney World, where it'd be like a pickup game.
Yeah. Plus, I have a feeling that way more people are going to be watching, even though both are going to be televised. Way more people are going to be watching the NBA. I think. What do you think? Because it's going to be almost like an immediate playoff.
Right, because it's more urgent.
Well, initially,
Initially,
before football.
right,
yeah.
And I also want to touch on golf real quick, only because I think the lack of fans actually affects them probably even the least bit. You know, because even though there are always fans lining the fairways, I mean, golf is a sport that you play by yourself anyway when you're on the course. So you're not really, as much as these guys want to say, "Hey, I miss the roars and the fans," but you're not. You're focused on playing your shot. So. And one thing I mentioned earlier today, I think it affects them a little bit because, you have to be a little more precise with your shots, because if you hit a ball off the fairway into an area where fans are, those fans have trampled down that rough. Now that rough's going to be lush. Same around the green. So it'll affect the game a little bit, but not enough to really make it. I think golf had the most seamless transition into coming back.
I think
The whole point is being quiet when you hit your shot.
arguably they never should have quit.
They should. Well, I agree with that.
I mean, you can say, okay, no fans. It's
agree.
easy to stay 6 feet apart in golf. They could have just played through. But,
Well, that was political pressure on the commissioner.
yeah, and as far as watching it on TV, I haven't really even tell the difference on most of these
You can't.
non-major tournaments. You kind of forget that there's no fans there because
that's
you're
right.
just, you know what I mean? Now, we talked a little bit about this off air, but you are going to notice difference like in the Masters, right?
You will notice the difference.
First of all,
the course
you're
weird.
used to watching that course packed especially on like a Sunday. And as you said, as guys play the round, they can hear roars from different parts of the course.
Right.
And, like late in the round, a big par 3, everybody's crowded around. That's going to be different, obviously. But some of these, like they're playing the Memorial this weekend, like I don't really know that there's not anybody there. You're just watching the players. So
I know we're not going to talk about this in depth. The soccer's kind of the same way. It doesn't really, aside from the noise of the crowd, it doesn't look any different. Because you don't see the crowd anyways.
No, you don't. That's right. I mean, and really, the TV production of these sports, we've seen it a little bit in golf, but the TV production is going to try to minimize the effect of no fans. Now, in baseball, that'll be a little difficult because if a guy hits a long fly ball and the camera comes, you're going to see the empty stands. But you know what I mean.
I was watching a soccer game. They put in they made it look like there were fans in the stands digitally.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Only certain shots, like from the field level, did they not do that. But in their typical shots, I think, remember that? They made it look like there were fans in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that at all.
It's like they made it look like there were fans who were all holding up cards or something. I mean, there's like advertisements and stuff.
But I will say this. Let's talk real quickly before we end this episode. We need to get back to sports, okay? I mean, I think, everybody talks about, social distancing and, kids need to get back to school. Yeah, but sports is part of the fabric of this country. And I think if we, as Nathan said, it, hopefully he's wrong that they will never play a game, but if we can get sports back, get into the playoffs of baseball, get into the playoffs in basketball, get into these major golf tournaments and football we'll talk about next episode, I think everybody's spirits will be lifted, and I think the country will start feeling better about itself because, I mean, it's been, I don't know about you guys, but the last 4 months, it hasn't even felt like it's been May or June or July because, like, your whole point of reference is off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's no sports to tie it to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, just the fact that, I know, like, services like Netflix have capitalized on this, but just your typical night, like, most people are just going, let's go see what's going on with coronavirus, and they watch the news, they read articles.
Right.
Well, at least they'll get, more distractions where, like you said, getting more back to normal.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a really good point.
NBA 2021 season is supposedly going to start in December, which is going to take place after some certain events. Hopefully the fans will be allowed back in, and that's where you start getting kind of the whole economic factor back into the sports, and you start getting,
Think about how weird. You talk about what'd you say? You're not really feeling like it's the right month because you don't have your
point of reference.
Yeah. Think about how weird it would be if football doesn't happen. Like that's always the
Yes.
sign that the fall is coming is football. Like, there's no, it'd be weird.
Well, I feel sorry for the college football fans. Yeah, but we'll talk about that.
We'll get into that in our next episode. But far as this one goes, for the restart sports, I think we made some good points, and kind of it'll be interesting to see how it happens. I think that it's gonna happen, Nathan. I think they're gonna start playing, but
if the NBA and MLB both shut it down again and leave the little bubbles,
yeah,
I want to have an episode.
First of all, if they were going to call it off, they would have done it before a week out. Yeah. They had all of July to call it off. And two, I think that they even realized if we're going to start this, we can't abandon it.
Right.
I think they're all in.
That's a good point. It really hurts.
That'd really look bad.
It would have been better to not start. Right.
I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying.
All right. So we'll see. All right. So that's our latest episode here as we talk about some restart sports. And as always, thank you for listening. Go to our Twitter account at PressBoxPod on Twitter. Let us know what you think about some of these restart sports. Your opinion either way, what we've talked about here. If you want to bring up something new about it, that as well. And we look forward to tackling the, no pun intended, the football element here in our next episode. Any thoughts, final thoughts?
No, I'm good with that.
All right, we'll see you next time on the PressBox Podcast.